the way.
We're wanted men.
I have spoken.
Welcome to another edition of the Smuggler's Galaxy podcast. This is sort of our Happy New Year edition, first edition of the year. Jason, how was your New Year's, man?
It was great. How was yours?
It was good, dude. I drank way too much, and thankfully we went to the neighbor's house, and it was just one of those parties where everybody's passing a shot around, and then before you know it, there's a beer, and then there's another shot, and then come 1 a.m., you're stumbling in the house going, why did I drink that much? And thankfully, New Year's Day was, nice and overcast, so we just kind of slept the day away, which, also reminds me why I don't drink like that anymore.
Well, conversely, I was in bed by 11. But I did wake up at midnight because there was people in the neighborhood shooting off fireworks. I guess they were really, really happy that 2020 was over, and the dog started crying, and then I woke up and I'm like, all right, Happy New Year. And then I went back to bed.
Yeah, that sounds like my noon, dude. I woke up at rolled out of bed about 10:30, and then, Mandy's on the couch because she had woken up and then fallen back asleep, and she looked at me and she goes, I feel a lot better after taking a nap. And I look at her and goes, that's a great idea. So I just went back to bed.
Oh, I envy you. Oh, if I could sleep in past 7:30, that would be amazing. But
Dude.
My internal clock, like Kramer, it just clicks off at 7:30 and I am up.
Yeah, I sleep because we were off last week, and I think I slept till like 8 every day, which was amazing. But yeah, I'm the same way. If it's 7:30 and I'm up, it feels like the day's wasted away if you're not up.
Yeah, absolutely.
But do you get any, dude? You've been killing it on Deal or No Deal, man. Holy crap! Tell me about that stuff, man.
Oh, this is such a gluttonous week. So yeah, I got a lot this week. Not just what we picked up on Deal or No Deal, but yeah. So first, there were some QC samples that showed up, which is quality check, and they were play sets, and I was kicking myself because I just couldn't swing it, couldn't afford it. Those were going for about 150 each. There was 2 of them. There was an R2-D2 and Darth Vader, and I was just drooling over them, and I'm wishing I could do something. And then the stimulus check hit the next day, and more QC samples hit, and so I picked all those up. So what I got were, so they were micro machines from Galoob from like 90. I didn't check the year, 96, 97-ish time frame, but they're what they call gift sets, and there's 4 figures in each. And there's 4 vehicles in each, and I picked up 3 of them. One was Imperial, one was Rebel, and then there was one that was mixed. And I think my brother and I got the mixed one because each set came with an exclusive figure, and we already had the Emperor's Royal Guard that came with the mixed set, but I didn't have the Emperor or the Akbar that came with the other 2. But yeah, they're QC samples, which means that they're part of something that was given to Galoob employees to go out and sell and show it off. They were quality check, like I said, so they were making sure that as they came off the production line, this is the look and feel that everybody wanted the figures to look. And man, these things are pristine. They look like they just came off the store shelves today. They were just amazing pieces.
Those pictures you shared, man, yeah, they really do. They're yeah, wow.
And then the next day, some paint samples showed up on Deal or No Deal. So I got 6 new Gunray from episode 1 paint samples, and each one has a different application to it. So it's almost like they were testing to see the different looks and how to apply it, and is this what we're looking for? And it's definitely a different kind of paint because they're kind of tacky, so you can kind of feel the paint to them. So I really don't want to touch them too much. But they also came with 2 Kai Adimundis, 2 Destroyer Droids, and 2 what's the big guy? The big Gungan, Boss Nos.
Bossa.
Boss Nass. That's his name. Yes. So I picked up those, and they're with my other unpainted figures. So I have some paint samples. I have some unpainted pre-production Micro Machine figures from like the original trilogy. So yeah, I have a little Micro Machine pre-production collection going on here.
Yeah, you're gonna corner the Micro Machine market here soon.
I'll take it.
Dude, and I gotta say something because I can't get stuff shipped to me from Tennessee and Florida, and those paint samples came from Singapore, and you got them in
Yeah.
like 4 days. And I've got
Yeah.
stuff, caught in the matrix right now.
Yeah, it's insane. I also picked up, like I mentioned before, a pre-production Black Series figure on Christmas Eve, and I still haven't received that. So I don't know how they got it here. I don't know if they threw it on top of a spaceship and they hit light speed and it dropped it from above. I don't know, but that was pretty fast and amazing.
Yeah, I couldn't believe when you showed those actually any of that stuff, and then when you said those paint samples were from Singapore, I was just like, "Holy crap!"
Right.
I've got stuff in not in a holding pattern, but I've got to deal with the guy, and we're both like, "Let's give it 2 weeks before we ship this stuff because it's one of a kind stuff, and I don't want it getting lost just
Yeah.
because of how crazy things are right now." But geez, did you you do anything else fun over the week? Because like I said, I had the week off, but I guess what. Let's go ahead.
No, I'm not done with my pickups this
Holy
week.
smokes! Go on, man.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. So so I finally got my Dinjarin and the Child Black Series figure, which was a birthday present that was delayed to Christmas, and then my wife told me right before Christmas, your birthday present is going to be delayed again. And I'm like, wait, what birthday present? Because that was in November. And she's like, oh, well, I guess it's a Christmas present now. She didn't realize, she didn't tell me at my birthday it was coming. So that finally came this week. And then I went to Target because Brickseek said they had the Jar Jar Binks up at Woodstock, the Black Series Jar Jar Binks.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed up and there was a guy there looking for some of the G.I. Joe stuff that's out. And when I showed up, I was asking the guy, what are you looking for? Because I thought he was there for Jar Jar because he was kind of looking at the Star Wars stuff. He's like, I don't know what that Jar Jar stuff is. I'm here for G.I. Joe. And the Target employee shows up and they give him the DCPI number. And he goes in the back and he pulls out a whole box of Jar Jars and he gives me 2. And I'm like, no, I only need 1. So he gave me 1 and was able to pick that up. And then New Year's Day, the Han, Luke, and Thrawn from the Archive series became available on Walmart, and those showed up already.
Nice.
So I was able to pick up those, and I like the Han and Luke because I never got the gift set, not the gift set, but whatever the big multi-pack is with the Tauntaun and the Wampa. I never picked those up, so I finally have those figures. They are a little different, so at some point I want to go back and get those, but that's the end. That's the end of my gluttonous week.
I've had a decent one, but so that Han and Luke is from the Wampa and the Tauntaun pack, or those?
Yeah, so originally Luke had some blood on him because he came with a bloody Tauntaun, bloody Wampa.
Uh-huh.
And this version doesn't have the blood to him, so it's like a clean version of that Luke.
Nice.
And then Han has a brown coat, and in the original version he had a blue coat.
Well, that brown and blue thing is sort of been controversial through the whole Star Wars because apparently he had, a brown coat in the movie, but it looked blue because of lighting. So
it's my understanding that it's brown in the movie whenever Han or wherever Harrison Ford wears it, but the armature that they used to animate the Tauntaun and Han riding around had a blue coat, and that's where the difference is.
Okay.
So it is a blue-brown coat thing that he did wear both, but it was just an armature that had the blue coat.
So can I have to pay attention because I don't know. It's been a minute since I've seen Empire, so I guess I have to look. I mean, can you see it in the movie, or did they do a
not really?
No, not really.
No, they don't get too close with the armatures. It's just like after the fact they went back and saw that he did wear both technically. Did you pick up anything?
Yeah, dude. We with the days off because we did some driving around. We just stayed in town, did a staycation, but we drove down to Noonan one of those days, and there's anybody that if you're looking for good toys, go to Noonan. There's a place called Full Circle. There's Heroes Comics. There's Atlanta Brick Company, which is a Lego store. If you're into Legos, that's like mecca for Legos because it's you looking at Legos that I saw a ghost there and I wanted it, but it was like $400, so it stayed on the shelf because I wasn't paying $400 for something I was going to open and play with. But anyway, we drove down there and I'm in the Back to the Future, so they had a Back to the Future, Burger King or Play, Happy Meal toys, and I got the last one that I needed to complete that run. My wife got some ET stuff. I traded with her at Plastic Empire in Marietta. I traded the last of my tote full of pops for way less than I wanted to, but it kind of was like, whatever, get rid of them. But I was able to. I'm trying to do a poor man's 12-back run where I'm putting the card with the figure and then casing them up, making them look real nice. And I was able to pick a Jawa up for that. One of the NECA did some new Bill and Ted figures, so I picked those up. My wife got a Day of the Dead figure and a little Stay Puft because she does she likes Ghostbusters. So it's Slimer and Stay Puft are the two she collects from Ghostbusters. And then there's also a place called Toy Man. He's got a couple of locations, and I think I hit him the day before you hit him. So yeah. I think I picked up all the good stuff.
Yeah, he didn't have much when I got there.
Because I picked it up, but because he's got good stuff, and it's always decent prices.
Yeah.
But he had a blue milk container from Galaxy's Edge just sitting in, and I'm like, I didn't want it, but the price was too good to pass up. It's like I can't leave it sitting there for that.
Yeah.
And then I picked up some odds and ends, some stickers, and he had a little pencil. And he's good when he's got the oddball stuff like that. It's cheap. So, for like, I think I got out of there for $15 for everything. So I was pretty happy. So yeah, it was a good week. I think my wife has a package coming to me today, and I've got a theory, and I was hoping it'd get here. It was supposed to get here yesterday, but we were sitting talking the other day during lunch, and she goes, "You remember that package that eBay canceled on me, or the guy canceled on eBay?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" Because she's got the Rogue One Stormtrooper from Galaxy's Edge. She goes, "I was getting you to Thrawn of that," and I went, "What?" And she goes, "They canceled it on me, and I guess because they didn't get the right price." And I was like, "You're kidding me, right?" And it was just one of those moments. I was like, I told her, I said, that would have been the present for me, because it's the Galaxy's Edge wooden Thrawn.
Yeah.
You could have bought me that, and I'd have been happy because I really want it and blah, blah. I don't know if it's a limited edition. I just don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, she tells me a couple of days ago, there's a box coming in from eBay on Friday. Don't open it. And it looks like it's going to be here today. So fingers crossed next week, I'll be able to say I have a Thrawn wooden toy. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
But then I remembered I had two more things. So
yes, go ahead. Do it.
I've never ordered anything from Left Coast Graphics, but they had a Salacious Crumb pin.
Uh-huh.
And I love the art, the line art that they have. They look like the vintage figures. So I did order that. So that came in, and it comes with a Jabba patch, and you can pin the Salacious Crumb to the Jabba patch. And it comes with a background that looks like the front of the box of the vintage Jabba. But then it also comes with the line art. So I got to figure out how I want to display that and how I want to frame it. And then also I was messaged by Mark Rusciano that he had a Star Tours vehicle.
Oh, man.
The Star Speeder 3000.
Uh-huh.
And I never picked that up when I lived in Orlando, and I regretted it, but it was just a budget thing that I couldn't buy it at the time. And then he offered it to me at a good price. A fair price, and I was like, yes, absolutely. So now I have that as part of my collection, and I love Star Tours. So, but that's the end, I promise this time. And it was an extreme week.
Yeah, dude, it was just, we got 2 weeks we got to catch up on. So this is how screwed up things are right now with the Postal Service. My wife ordered stocking stuffers from Entertainment Earth like the first week of December, or actually like Black Friday, Thanksgiving time.
Wow.
They came in They came in yesterday. So it took a month for these things to get here.
Wow.
Yeah. And there were a couple of oddball pins she got me. I think, oh gosh, what was it? Got me a little cute Han Solo, because we collect the pins, but I think Disney, when you go down to Disney, you do the pin trading, and that kind of sparked our love of pins because we were already kind of into it, but that kind of just ignited it more. Have you done the pin trading down there?
I've purchased pins. I've never traded them because I usually get the ones that I want. There was a couple examples where a couple times that we bought some cheap pins because every so often the cast members will get pins that are exclusive and you have to trade with cast members. And they had the monorail, different colored monorails that they were trading with people. So we bought some cheap pins and we traded with employees to get those. But that's the extent of our pin trading.
Okay. Yeah, we did it when we were down there in a couple of Septembers ago, and it was sort of a good icebreaker, and you met a lot of people. And
Yeah.
one guy was telling me Star Wars dad jokes. So it was a good way to meet people. I know they've changed it a little bit because of COVID.
Yeah.
We did the same thing, bought a bunch of cheaper pins and traded them with people, and it kind of expands everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got a caulkboard full of pins, and she got me a couple of Bill and Ted pins and Boba Fett and a little Han pin, and just oddball stuff, some little X-Files things, because who doesn't like X-Files? But yeah,
did you get those NECA Back to the Future figures?
I have not gotten those yet. I can't spend the $30 on that right now. It just, even though you'll spend $25 on a Black Series, I don't know why I can't wrap my head around spending $30 on those figures, but they're amazing.
They were on the clearance rack up at Holly Springs Walmart yesterday, but they did have like a $29 price sticker on it. I didn't check it because I'm not gonna. I mean, you heard my week. I'm not gonna spend more money, especially on something that's not my focus, which is everything Star Wars. But
Right.
if you're interested, I would run up there and see what the price is.
Yeah, I'll have to do that because we got to go drop my wife's car off when we'll change them. Maybe we'll head up that way. Anyway, there's a couple of really interesting rumors I want to talk about before we get into the topic this week. Number one, which I love you, Dave Filoni, but God, don't do this. Did you hear who they have for Thrawn that they want to use for Thrawn?
I have heard the rumors, but I also heard that he's not for Thrawn.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I don't know any of these sources. There were websites that I've never heard of before. So I don't know.
But before we go any further, the rumor is that they're talking to Robert Downey Jr. to play Grand Admiral Thrawn. And I can't think of, he's a great actor, but he's no Grand Admiral Thrawn. He's too nice to be Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, he's not, I don't see him as that. I just don't see him as Thrawn. I mean, he's a talkative guy, and Thrawn is not a talkative guy. He's careful and measured, and that's not Robert Downey Jr.
Exactly. He's too quirky to play Thrawn. Talkative is a good way to put it, because Thrawn is, Robert Downey Jr. will say stuff in like 5 or 6 sentences, and Thrawn uses 2 words.
Right. He's witty, and that's not Thrawn. And so I just feel like that would be bad casting. But Favreau worked with Filoni. Favreau worked with Robert Downey Jr., so I can see it possibly happening. I've also heard the rumor that right now in Hollywood, everybody wants to be part of what Disney's doing with Star Wars and The Mandalorian. And there's so many people asking, hey, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I be part of it? So it does make sense. Robert Downey Jr. came off of Dr. Dolittle, which was a bomb. And I'm sure he wants to prove that he's something other than Iron Man. So a high profile role like this would give him that ability to step outside of that Iron Man role and do something different. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
He's just too damn quirky.
Yeah.
I know it's not the same, but I keep wanting to compare him to Johnny Depp, but they're 2 totally different acting styles. Hell, Johnny Depp would be a better Thrawn, I think, than Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, it like I said, it's he talks and he mumbles and he tries to, talk his way out. Thrawn does it too, but Thrawn just is like, I'm Thrawn, and he's cool and collective, and he knows he has the upper hand, so why should he get excited? And it's just, Thrawn is very where you just one tone, monotone. That's
Yeah.
he's very monotone, and he's cool and collective. And Robert Downey Jr. is just he's all over the place. I could see why they would want to use him because Jon Favreau's worked with him as he's Iron Man, and it is bringing another name to the franchise. But at this point, I think you've gotten so many people excited about it that you don't need a big pop like that right now. But the way things are looking, it's going to be, late 20, it's going to be 22 before, late 22 before we see Mandalorian back. So maybe they want to break, or heck, the Ahsoka show or whatever, maybe they want to do that to bring that pop back. I'm not happy with it. And maybe I'll be happy when I see it if that's what they do.
Yeah, the other thing I'm thinking about now is with Thrawn, you want somebody who takes all the oxygen out of the room. You see him, you're like, oh my gosh, it's Thrawn. And when you see Robert Downey Jr., you're like, oh hey, it's Iron Man. So I don't know. Yeah, I think that would be miscast. I think he's got a place maybe in the Star Wars universe. I just don't think it's Thrawn.
Yeah.
I could see him as like some sort of warlord or crime boss, like if he was to be folded into the book of Boba Fett, to be an opponent of Boba Fett or something along those lines. But Thrawn is just, for me, miscast.
Yeah, I could see him doing that because he could be that quirky crime boss that Fett's going after or whatever, or that's going after Fett. And
yeah.
Or yeah, and you know what? No, I'm sorry. I'm going through my head, and I'm like, I remember the one time where he's got the glasses on and he's showing everything off. Maybe he could pull it off, but I don't see it. When he's showing all the new weapons off and stuff in Iron Man, and he is acting a little bit cooler than the mumbling. I don't want to use idiot, but that's not what I mean. But just maybe he could pull it off, but. Dude, I just don't see it.
I give him, he did a good, he had a unique take on Sherlock Holmes, and I enjoyed that. And I wasn't seeing Iron Man so much, but it was still, Robert Downey Jr. It wasn't Sherlock.
They're going to have to do so much makeup and not appendages, but because Thrawn's got those high, big eyebrows and stuff, and his forehead's really pronounced. They're going to have to do a lot of makeup. So maybe we won't, we'll see Thrawn instead of Robert Downey Jr. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah. So, and then the other one that's just kind of popped up over the last day or two is, and I have no clue how this came up, but now they're saying that Ezra could possibly be Din Djarin's brother.
No.
That's how I feel about it too. It's like, no, leave it alone, man. Stop.
No.
Stop.
Yeah, no, I don't see it. That kind of hit me. I had no clue where that was going. I have not heard that rumor. I don't like it. There was a property where everyone was related to everyone. What am I thinking of? I don't know. I don't like that.
Yeah. It's just not a good. There's no need to have. I mean, I could see where, okay, yeah, that's your brother, but then you're like, whatever. Then you're also Mandalorian would have the Force powers. He could be a half Jedi or something because Ezra's a Jedi, and I just think it's a rumor. There again, I think you're bringing up too much crap.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of the sequel trilogy where everyone was trying to pin Rey to someone. And people were like, "Oh, she shouldn't be anyone." And then people were like, "No, she needs to be so and so, and she needs to be a Kenobi or Skywalker or whatever the case may be." That's what I was thinking of there.
Gotcha.
But I don't. I'm not a fan of. I mean, Ezra can just be Ezra. He was an orphan. He didn't have. I mean, there was no.
Yeah,
that doesn't work.
Yeah, he at least knew his parents, and they passed, and some kind of way, and. Geez, I need to rewatch Rebels for the third time, but I think they passed in a concentration camp, basically.
Yeah, no, not good.
So, Jason, I heard we had some pretty interesting news for the podcast that we got a sponsor.
We got a sponsor this week, which is pretty exciting because it's a cool product. We're going to be making some money, not much, we won't be able to buy a figure, but we'll have some money to have in the bank in case we need to. But yeah, this is a cool product. They said that we need to read the copy exactly as they had written it. Otherwise we won't get our money. So Here, let me go through it here. You so tired of not sleeping at night? Do you so wake up with the bad backing? Then you so trying the Gungan mattress. Gungan mattresses, the number una selling mattress on Naboo. Sleep the night and wake up fresh in the morning. Our mattresses always filled with the most warm waters of the ocean to make a Yusa feel comfortable enough to sleep. Comparing with other mattresses. Sleep on the bed of use dreams today, trying it free per 90 days. And if you so choose to keep it, saving 10%. Now available on the Holonet using promo code SMUGGLERS when checking out. So there it is. Gungan mattresses.
Dude, I just got mine in, and it's amazing.
It's like a waterbed.
It is.
You get to try it free for a little bit.
Right. That's great.
So yeah, that's Smugglers. Use that when checking out.
Say 10%, right?
Yep. Try it 90 days, save 10%. Use promo code SMUGGLERS.
There you go. All right, so we're going to get into the topic of the week, and this is one that me and Jason, we've been chomping at the bit to get into because we're big fans of Galaxy's Edge, but there's ways that we think it can be improved. There's ways we think we got gypped with it. And I think we've been hinting at it since we started this podcast, or since we did the very first episode on Galaxy's Edge, that we keep going, okay, I want to change this, or I want to change that, or we'll hint at it. And then we're like, wait a minute, we got to save it. So let's make a show out of it.
Yeah.
So this is that show. This is what we would do to change Galaxy's Edge show by Smugglers Galaxy.
.com. / yes. Yeah, first of all, I mean, the big rumor of this week is that Disney is following the crowd. I mean, people love The Mandalorian. People want to see The Mandalorian at Disney. And so Disney's going to be folding The Mandalorian, The Child, Ahsoka, and Boba Fett as meet and greets at Galaxy's Edge in the parks. And I'm not sure if it's going to be exactly in Galaxy's Edge or Launch Bay. Smugglers run Launch Bay. No, Launch Bay, which used to be a former animation building. They've converted that into just a black box that they can use for whatever they want. And now they've used it for Star Wars props. And they do have some meet and greets there with like Darth Vader and Chewbacca, but I don't know if that's where they want to put this, or if they're going to be walk around characters.
I think to bring people to smugglers to Galaxy's Edge, they need to have them as walk around characters or something. They're going to be freaking mobbed, but
yeah.
Maybe they put them on that top, or at least the child or something. But what I heard was they were supposed to be getting rid of Launch Bay because of Galaxy's Edge, but right now Launch Bay is closed because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But I really enjoyed Launch Bay because it has all the cool stuff, and it's got that one store in it, that you can buy some cool stuff. Please do something. They need, if not these characters, make it characters we know and love, because I'm gonna give a pop. It's Jim Hill, right?
Yes.
Jim Hill's. I listened to his Disney podcast, and then for grins and giggles on my way home last night, I just put his name into Spotify, and he does all kinds of crap.
Yeah.
You got to listen. If you're into Disney, look up his podcast. It's really good. He's the one where we're getting a lot of this information from, and it's kind of popped up on the internet. And they need to do something with Galaxy's Edge, because as Star Wars fans, we're enjoying it, but we're going, what the heck's going on? We don't understand. It's not characters we know. I mean, Rey and Kylo's in there, but it's just okay. I mean, it's cool seeing them. Vi is all right, and I think they kind of get away with her because she's not going to get mobbed, because she's not a well-known character unless you've read the books or you've done the research on Galaxy's Edge. You're like, who's this girl in an orange jacket with blue hair running around? I've had a couple of interactions with her, and it was fun, but she's more playing with the kids and playing with the droids, because out in Droid Depot, they've got a little area where you can play with your droids, and I've seen her hanging out there a little bit. But it's a character. It's a new character that they made for the land. And I think Disney's flopped with it because we don't know this time. We don't know this era. We don't know this planet. And and then they put a freaking TIE Echelon, this brand new ship there again. It's something brand new. And then going back to, we're just going to, the Mandalorian. Could you imagine if they put the Razor Crest in where that TIE Echelon is?
That'd be amazing. And that would be lines for days.
It would be awesome. And I think Disney, this is a part that I wanted to make, and I think they kind of I mean, my notes, but well, they need to get it out of the episode 8 and 9. And if they
Yes.
bring Mando and the child and Ahsoka and Boba Fett into this land as Roman characters, it'll help get that out of that, just make it they don't need to keep it canon, keep it canon, yes, but make it like a 15-year, 20, 30-year canon instead of 2 years,
Yeah.
because it is cool when you do walk in that land and you take a breath and you realize you're quote unquote canon while you're in that land because you are you're in Batu, they've written books about it. And you're in Star Wars when you're in that land. As a Star Wars fan, that's just cool as shit.
Like you said, the lack of flexibility in the timeline is extremely challenging for Disney, and they stuck it between The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, because that's where that's where the money was. That was the intellectual property at the time. But the reason why they didn't make like a Hoth base or Tatooine is because those were old and they wanted new. But the old is timeless, and they should have stuck with that. Just looking at Tatooine, I mean, that appeared in the prequels. It appeared in the original trilogy. It appeared in The Mandalorian. There's so much more flexibility in having that planet rather than Batuu. And I think they can't adapt, and they're going to have to break what they've kind of set up in order to adapt, which is fine because I don't know if the average Disney goer really cares that you're in canon or where it's set. They're going to go and say, where is the Mandalorian? Why can't I see Boba Fett? Where is Ahsoka? And I think there's opportunities here where they can kind of break the timeline and say, okay, we're out of that. So if you want to experience the timeline, go now, because I think in 5 years it's going to look completely different.
I said this, but when I went at the beginning when it just opened, it's like I want to give this land a year or two before I'm back because I want to see what it's going to be like. I want to see when these cast members, they've been able to get into their roles better, and everything kind of melts and gets
Yeah.
get used to it. And yeah, I think in 5 years is going to be a totally different land, like you said. And yes, I think they should have done Tatooine because if you're going to do it in Florida and you're going to do it in California, it lends itself very well to be Tatooine. And it is kind of, you could still put trees, even though it's quote unquote a desert planet. I think they still could have done, they still could have made it look like they have it with Batuu.
Yeah.
And just called it Tatooine. I mean, if you want to just take, okay, now you're in Tatooine and Batuu and not Batuu, it would be an easy, it would be that simple, I think,
Yeah.
because they've done it, you're in the climates. They can't make it Hoth, obviously, because, who would buy it because it's a snow planet unless you're on, I was going to say, unless you're on the other side of Hoth, that it's not snowy.
First off here, I mean, Hondo Anaka is the guy who you see on Smuggler's Run. He's been around since the Clone Wars, and if he's here between The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, he's there during The Mandalorian. He's a well-known pirate. He needs to be folded into the shows here somehow, and we need to. The cool thing about Smuggler's Run is that it's basically a video game. You can reprogram it, and there is a quiet time in the middle of the ride where all systems shut down and you have to restart and stuff. That would be a great opportunity to reprogram the ride, put in a new mission, and then halfway through, maybe you're stuck and the Mandalorian shows up with Grogu and says, hey, I'm here to help you, kid, let's get out of here. And then you're following the Razor Crest through something or other, and you escape and you complete your mission thanks to the Mandalorian. And so that would be a real quick change. It's my understanding that there was a lot of more programming and more coordination than they realized. It was supposed to launch with 3 different scenarios, so each time you got on it, you possibly got onto a different scenario. It wouldn't be the same ride over and over again. And there still is that flexibility, but right now it's only the one. So that would be a real simple way to incorporate the Mandalorian into the ride.
Yeah, that would be amazing. That's the one thing I didn't like. Let's just talk about Smuggler's Run for a minute. I had to pause there because I'm going to call it Galaxy too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just talk about that while we're on it, how they could improve that ride. But yeah, I definitely, because when you're reading everything and you're looking at all the pre stuff, it was supposed to be 3 different runs. And for some reason, you got the one run, which it's got its pluses and minuses because you do learn it. And like any video game, you learn the run and then okay, because there's one part where they're like break. And if you know what's coming up, you can break earlier than what you need to because it tells you too late. Yes, they should have made it to where they had a different run. And I love that idea of, hey, the Mandalorian shows up in the Razor Quest and it's Grogu and him and Grogu, and you take off and, he helps you through that. And I've also heard that when the new the X-Wing movie Rogue Squadron comes out, that they may redo it at that point too, which would be cool. And then you're fighting X-Wings and TIE fighters. Yeah. I mean, and another thing, I really think they should have done an autopilot so that when they have a 5 or 10-year-old, 7, 8-year-old kid that, or whatever, even younger, that goes to sit in that pilot seat, all you have to do is say autopilot, and the cast member, the little kid, could pretend like he's driving.
Yeah.
And you still have the rest. It's not ruining the ride for everybody else that's waited an hour to ride it, and then you get sick in the back because a 5-year-old's trying to pilot.
Yeah, because I mentioned back in October when I went, my 4-year-old nephew went with us, and he was the co-pilot. And halfway through the ride, I was doing both sides, kind of leaning over in the middle, controlling the up and down and left and right. And because of COVID, it was just the three of us, me, my nephew, and my brother. But if there was 3 other people, I could see them getting upset that my 4-year-old nephew is crashing us.
Personally, if I was on a run and I saw a 4-year-old go to the pilot, I would ask to go on another. I'd be like, no, I need another. I'm not doing this because it made my wife sick, and she was the pilot.
Yeah.
So you could have a really rough ride on that real quick.
Yeah.
Another thing I'd like to see, they should have done real gun turrets on that ride, dude. Could you imagine if they did that?
Yeah, but that's not the ride, unfortunately. I know I get the complaint. It's not the Millennium Falcon, but it's not feasible in that attraction, unfortunately. I hate to be the realist here, but I mean, everyone would love to climb into those turrets, but it's just, that's not the ride.
Yeah. But there is one part of there where you turn around and they've got the ladder going to the gun turret, so that's kind of
cool. Yeah.
That whole ride, they did such a good job with the theming of it, and then because the queue is amazing, the passageways are amazing, the chest room, just everything. But the ride itself, the video game portion of the ride, is awesome. Even the video game. The theming and the queue and everything is a 10 or an 11, and the game, the actual ride is like a 7 or an 8. So I mean, it's still good, but it's nowhere where it could be. You go to Smuggler's Run to experience it. You don't go to ride the ride, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You exit from different exits all the time because depending on what pod you're in and where they spit you out. So you see new things every time you're in that ride. So Disney did an amazing job with it, except when it came to the ride vehicle or came to the ride.
Well, it doesn't matter. Like if you crash it a lot, they do change based on the exit of the ride changes based on your success of the ride. So if you do a good job, you walk out onto a clean Falcon. If you do a horrible job and you bang it up, the Falcon looks like it's in disarray. There's sparks everywhere. There's fire. So really, it depends on your success on the ride that determines the exit.
Okay. But I have seen, because when you're exiting, there's like a setup. When you walk in, there's like some boxes or something that look like they're set up perfect. But then and I've seen the electronics and stuff that's blowing up.
Yeah. But
then when you exit, those boxes are all in disarray. And I was like, how did they do that? And then you realize it's a different exit,
Yes. Yeah.
You were like, are they setting those things up every time? And then as you exit, you're like, oh, that's how they do it.
Yeah, those boxes are always like that. It's the projection of the sparks and the fire that changes and increases or decreases based on the success of you.
It's a cool ride. Go ride it.
Yeah, one thing I want to say that I think they should do is fold Batuu into the film or the TV show canon. Film an episode there at night, whether that's Boba Fett or The Mandalorian, that the whole place looks like it's set ready. You can just shoot a couple shots of the Mandalorian walking through it at night. You can have the interior sets as part of your void sets or whatever on a soundstage. but I want to see it folded in. I want to be able to say, see the Mandalorian walk down the street. And it would be so cool. It'd be incredible to say this is a screen used place, that this was actually used for the Mandalorian or Boba Fett.
I know we've talked about it before, but just to bring up, that X-Wing was used in The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
At least the one in Florida, not the one in
Yeah.
California. The one in Florida was used in The Mandalorian. So
yeah.
You read the Thrawn books, and they're in Ogas because they do go to Batu. And some of the bolts some of the shots that are on the wall, the gunshots or blaster bolts. Timothy Zahn wrote that into Olga's. And Roy wrote that into his book, which then Disney had to put in their thing. But yeah, you're right. Seeing it is totally different than reading it.
There's so much more that they could do because this is supposed to be your galaxy, your Star Wars story, excuse me, and it's not. We want to be in their Star Wars story.
Right.
I've said that before, but the other thing that I wanted to mention, and I always get this company's name wrong. I don't know why I cannot speak it, but Boeing, thank you. I know I worked in government contracting for 10 years. I still can't say that name for whatever reason. They spent a lot of money. Disney spent a lot of money with them developing these X-Wing drones that they used for that one night of launching it in Florida, the grand opening for Galaxy's Edge. The X-Wings kind of shot up behind Rise of Resistance, and it looked like they shot into hyperspace because they kind of went further out into the parking lot. Why spend millions of dollars developing these drones only for one night? Pull those out, use them one night, have them fly over. I know they can't fly over to the people, but I'm sure there's a path where they can fly, that it's safe, and it would be just cool to see X-Wings actually fly over you.
That would be amazing. And there again, it's the same thing with the stunt show. They spent all the time and money developing this stunt show. They used it one time for the grand opening. I don't get why they did that. The stunt show would be amazing because it happened over the where the land speeders are, and it would be perfect because I guess whoever is it, Bob Chapek, that's now in charge. He's kind of a stickler when it comes to the bottom line, and he thinks that it should be a more of an amusement park versus a theme park or whatever. So you don't go for the ambiance, or he doesn't believe in the ambiance, and it just, I think he ruined. I don't want to put it all on his feet, but I think he ruined Galaxy's Edge because he said, "Hold on a minute, I don't want to spend all this money," and they should have.
Yeah, good old Bob Chapek. He's the one though that's pushing to include the Mandalorian and Ahsoka and Boba Fett in Galaxy's Edge because that's what people love, and that's the IP. He's all about intellectual property, the stuff that people are spending money on. That's the stuff he wants to put in the parks. Change it all up. I would be so happy to go there and see the Mandalorian and see Ahsoka, because I don't know why, but when I was listening to the Jim Hill podcast, I started tearing up a little bit when you hear Ahsoka is going to be in the freaking park, and I don't know why. Like I said, 6 months ago, I didn't give two craps about Ahsoka, and now she's like the most important thing in the universe. I went to Universal Studios Black Friday not 20, but in 19. And there was a bunch of character meet and greets on their main little drag. They had Scooby-Doo, they had Doc Brown, they had Beetlejuice. Those interactions made my day. It was like a half an hour out of my day, but I was just so happy the rest of the day because I got to talk to Doc Brown, some dude dressed up as Doc Brown. If they did that with people in Galaxy's Edge, us big Star Wars nerds are going to be just as happy as those little kids that know these characters. Did you not go to Star Wars weekends down there?
I never had a chance.
Oh my God, dude. Oh, this is what you're asking for. It was such an amazing experience because characters were everywhere throughout the park, and not just the main characters, the lesser known ones. There was Kit Fisto, there was Boba Fett and C-3PO, R2-D2, there was Aura Singh, there was Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker, all the big guys. But then they also had those smaller characters, and anywhere you went in the park, there was a pop-up backdrop, there was a line, you would get in line. It was incredible, and that's exactly what I miss. And this is what you're talking about right now, where they need to have that kind of experience in Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, I would lose my mind in Galaxy's Edge. if they did that. I mean, I lost it anyway, but you'd lose it again. It'd be like 100 times better if, you turn a corner, even if they did, like you were saying, the pop-ups, even if all of a sudden there's a backdrop that shows up and but next thing you know, there's the Mandalorian with the child. They
Yeah.
could do that. And I think it would be okay. Or not even a backdrop, just they show up and, because they used to do that with the characters, they just show up. And now they realized, well, we can put 5 characters in one thing and have people, walk in and see them, and then they can walk out, and then we'll throw a gift shop at the end of it and sell more merch.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, that would be. That's what I want from Galaxy's Edge. Damn it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I kind of bashed Bob Chapek, but I think a lot of people don't realize that when Disneyland first started, you would watch on the Wide World of Disney, Treasure Island or Davy Crockett or something along those lines. And then you would go to the park and you would ride Pirates of the Caribbean and you would ride Frontierland. So even from the start, Disney was pushing intellectual property to correspond with the media that they were producing. And so Bob Chapek is just doing that, but he's doing it, I think, more towards squeezing out, the bottom line, trying to get the most dollar for the less, spend less and get more. And I think a lot of people are faulting for him, but the pattern has always been that for Disney. I just wanted to mention that, to be fair.
And I'm totally okay with that, because
Yeah.
when you go to the Disney park, it's to see what you just saw on TV.
Yeah.
That's why you go to Disney, to see Mickey Mouse walking around, to see all these characters. And as a 45-year-old guy, I want to see that, because that, you want to be a kid again, and
Yeah.
you want to leave all your troubles at the door when you go to Disney World.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. I don't, if they want to take Batuu and blow it up because they want to put the Mandalorian in there, I'd be 100% okay with that, as far as the timeline goes, or they want to redo it. And if they want to put the freaking, because I don't know why they put the TIE Echelon in there, because they was supposed to be a TIE fighter and then they changed it. But I think it was to hide the fact that they were putting this new ship in there. And yeah, throw the freaking Razor Crest up in place of that TIE Echelon. It would be awesome to see. They did a stunt show, or not a stunt show, but I guess it's a quote unquote stunt show right in front of the Chinese theater. They still do it. I don't know. Well, are they still doing it? You've been, and I haven't lately.
It's not really a stunt show. They just walk out, fireworks shoot off. It's just like, hey, there's so-and-so, there's so-and-so. It's not really anything that I would call a stunt show.
The biggest stunt about it is Boba Fett shoots a thing out of his
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
That's the biggest stunt, but there's some pyrotechnics and stuff. But that's cool. But the coolest thing about that show is when they're walking to and from the stage, because you've got the stormtroopers and you've got Darth Vader and you've got Captain Phasma, and they interact with the little kids, as it's and they make a big deal about it. Could you imagine stormtroopers and even though Darth Vader's not in the timeline, having a platoon of stormtroopers and Darth Vader, or hell, even Kylo, walking down the streets of Batuu? What a presence that would make in that land.
I mean, they did that at the start. I don't know if they're still doing that because of the crowds, but when I went there during cast member previews, Kylo was walking around with the stormtroopers, and it was amazing.
They were doing that while I was there too, but it was only 2 stormtroopers and Kylo Ren.
You're talking about a whole
I'm talking
infantry.
about a freaking platoon, like 10 or 15 of them, like they did when with that it was basically a parade. Could you imagine if they did a parade through Galaxy's Edge?
With that show that you were just talking about, Captain Phasma does walk out, and they do force everyone apart, and she walks out from launch bay and she kind of marches out a whole platoon. I don't know if they still do that, but they were doing that for a while too.
Yeah. Or in Galaxy's Edge, or just from launch bay to the show? From launch bay to the show. I want to see that in Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
That would, to me, would be amazing, because it was so awesome to see, because they made a big stink about it and they played the Imperial March, and, cast members were moving you out the way, and they had an attitude about them. The stormtroopers, they were nice, but they were mean at the same time. So seeing that in Galaxy's Edge would blow me away.
So in conclusion, more characters at Galaxy's Edge. That's one thing we
Yes.
want. And then over where that tie echelon is, there is a doorway. And I don't know if you know this or not, but that doorway leads to an expansion pad for Galaxy's Edge at both Disneyland and Hollywood Studios.
Wow.
So, and this is probably, I don't know if the pandemic is delayed things, but I thought it was like 2027, but this might be 2030 by the time they actually expand Galaxy's Edge, if they care to invest money into it. You know, what might you want to see as an expansion to the land?
Whew. Dude, I don't know. It would be cool if they did, you know, oh, now you're in Tatooine, or now it's a. I know there was rumors that there was supposed to be like a character dining in the land.
Yeah.
I know you hinted at this a couple of weeks ago where you're like, I've got a plan, but I'm going to save it for the show. So
Yeah.
I don't know what else they could. I mean, they could do something maybe where you're fighting, have a battlefront, or a, you know, you're flying an X-wing or a TIE fighter, but you've got that in your house. You know, with the squadrons. So what's your thoughts, man?
Yeah.
You've thrown me for a loop, but I have no clue what to put in that spot.
Yeah, I think the first thing would be some sort of sit-down restaurant, like like you were just saying, with a show where you can. I don't care if it's like Chuck E. Cheese. It doesn't matter. It's Star Wars, where you sit down. Maybe the stage show's already going, and you just kind of chill and watch it and order your food, and then you get on with your day. That would be an amazing thing. There was also rumors before Galaxy's Edge that they developed some sort of pod technology where you would go into a room and it would be like a dome. You would get on a speeder bike. There'd be like 40 other people in 40 other domes with 40 other speeder bikes. And it was a 3-minute ride. And you would fly around and you would try to hit each other. It was like a giant video game. The problem was, and I think the reason why they backed off from it, is a minute 30 in, if this is a 3-minute ride and you get blown up, the screen goes dark and you have to exit. That's not fun.
No.
So I think that's why they abandoned it. But, you know, I like that thought where you're in charge, you're in control. Is there some sort of, I don't know, flight of passage thing where you get on something and you're controlling it and it's just you, but you can also look to the side and you can see your family members or your friends doing the same thing. You know, that would be cool. I don't know exactly how that folds into Star Wars just yet, but I don't know if that's speeder bike just racing through things or pod racing. I don't know.
I'm taking a minute to take all that in, because that, if they did a flight of passage style ride or in Star Wars, would be awesome. Because I mean, you could do something like that. I don't know what the vehicle would be. I mean, it could be an X-wing. It could be, you know, or hell, it could be what Flight of Passage did, you know, where you're flying on some kind of new creature. But I think they've learned their lesson. It's got to be something people know.
Guardians of the Galaxy has a story coaster coming where you get on the coaster, but unlike normal coasters where you're just in a car, this one kind of pivots and turns 360 degrees. So it does slow down, it speeds up at points, but when it slows down, you're supposed to turn and maybe you see a ship flying by you. And so maybe some sort of roller coaster element. That would be cool too. Maybe it's Boba Fett or something like that. You're flying in the Slave One.
If I'd have to go back and look, but I think they were trying to develop some kind of roller coaster like that, where it was it was an X-wing and a TIE fighter. You know, the cars were X-wings and TIE fighters, and something along those lines they were already trying to develop. So I mean, I think that'd be kind of fun.
Disneyland, they do that with Space Mountain. They turn it into Hyperspace Mountain, and they project X-wings, TIE fighters on the walls, and you can kind of hear the blasters in your car.
As much as awesome as I think that would be, I don't know if Galaxy's Edge needs a thrill ride. I think it needs more immersion. That's I've got something that I wrote down, and maybe it's too, but anyway, I just want what we were promised in Galaxy's Edge. You know what I mean?
Droids, Roman, aliens.
I want the droid, and it does. I keep harking back, and you pulled me away from the character interaction. But I think if you left Galaxy's Edge exactly as it is, and added the more character development, added the characters, added the, you know, they're trying. The people are trying, but they're just not there yet. You know, the cast members they're doing a good job, but you got to get some Star Wars nerds in that land and just be like, all right, have fun and interact with these people. Because a lot of these guys you're trying to talk to and they don't know what they're talking about, or they don't understand. As a Star Wars geek, you could stump them, you know? Anyway, I'm that's enough character development. Put some characters in that freaking land and change Smuggler's Run. I don't,
Yeah.
and I haven't ridden Rise of the Resistance, so I can't comment on that, but I've heard that, you know, that ride's pretty much perfect.
It's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm hoping we've got a trip planned in April, and I'm hoping to sneak away to hit the park at least one day. So hopefully, knock on wood, things will be normal enough to where I can get in there and see how it's changed, or
yeah,
and get on Rise, and then we could talk about Rise, because oh my God, I really thought it was going to be like a Runaway Railroad or Great Movie Ride, is the way it was described at first, and then the more people ride it, they're just like, it's 5 or 6 rides in one, and oh my God. So
yeah, it's awesome.
Awesome. What else are you thinking, dude?
Yeah, I had the thought to add a roller coaster, but also add the element and not make it like an incredibly fast roller coaster about speed and stuff, except at the start when you kind of take off. And I don't think Disney lawyers will let us do this, but give everyone a blaster that's connected to the car. So as you're flying, you're shooting TIE fighters as you kind of travel. But that's a risk where, you know, if somebody drops it and you're going fast, it flies around and hits your face. I just don't know if they would ever do that, but that would be awesome.
Yeah, that's a good, because they do that I wonder if they could tie it to your arm or something to where you're not really dropping it, or, you know, if you do lose it, it doesn't go anywhere. But that's a fun thought, man.
That'd be fun. And so, I'm just going to go out even further, 20 years. So Universal Studios is developing a new park for themselves called Epic Universe. And so they'll have 3 parks plus a water ride. And at some point, I think Disney's going to want to develop what they call a fifth park. They've been resistant to that because I think if you're going down there for a week, you want to feel like you've done everything. You don't want to leave feeling like you haven't done something. And so if you go down there for 5 days, you know, you're going to have your check-in day, you're going to have your checkout day, you're going to hit the 4 parks, you can do 2 parks a day. They've been resistant to it, but I think they need a 5th park. And because everything's becoming homogenized, you know, Hollywood Studios used to be MGM Studios. It used to be like a working backstage backlot where you could go see people and actually animate movies. I think Mulan was animated down there. You can go see the street where the Golden Girls house was, I believe, if I remember that right.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a house that was used in Ernest Saves Christmas. And so, you know, there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on. And since then, they've kind of homogenized it and take that away. And it was just a place where you can experience movies. And I could see them making like a 5th park called Pop Kingdom, where it is just all their intellectual property. It was just all these lands developed around their IP. And I want to see them make that Tatooine. I want to ride a speeder bike. I want to go battle a crate dragon. I want to go to the cantina. I want to go to the cantina.
That's yes. Yeah. Yeah. If they would have done Oga's as a cantina versus, you know, like they did in Tatooine versus what it is now, man. Oh my God.
Yeah, if I had what they call FU money was just like I could spend it FU, I can do whatever I want with it. I would build my own freaking canteen in my basement.
Oh, awesome. That I think Narayan, you'd have to dig out a niche for Narayan to hang out, dude, because he'd be there all the time.
Oh, sure. Yeah, he can give the corner. Right this way, sir, your usual booth.
Right. Oh, that would be amazing, dude.
But yeah, that's how much I want to go sit in the cantina. And that's what I want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just want the Star Wars we know, damn it. Because there again, when you go to Harry Potter Land, you're looking at stuff you know versus what the hell is this when you're in Star Wars, you know, Galaxy's Edge. And I do think Universal edged, you know, granted they've got 8 to 10 years on Disney because that park's been open forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just, I don't know. I can't compare the two, but Universal kicked Disney's ass when it came to doing an immersive park. And
Yeah,
I'm
and
not even a
because
Harry Potter fan, dude.
yeah, and if you're a Harry Potter fan, it takes it up to even higher levels because you are experiencing the things that the characters experience, and that's what's missing in Galaxy's Edge.
Building the lightsaber, I described it as a religious experience to somebody because,
Yep.
you pick up that lightsaber and you get the goosebumps. You think about building it and you tear up. And it's been over a year for me. I don't know if you have that same experience, but the droids are cool. The blue milk I can do without because it's, I don't know what the hell they did with that.
Yeah, it's weird.
Ronto Roasters is good, is cool. Is it just, they needed something that's a quick service, and Docking Bay 7, it's a cool concept. I mean, yeah, there again, if they would have just made it something we know. They backed off a lot because a lot of this was Arabish, and a lot of the signs were in Arabish, and people are just like, what, they don't understand it. And Star Wars is doing a good job of putting Arabish in everything, because you look at Squadrons and they have English on top of Arabish. So if all you do, I'm trying to learn it, or at least be able to put piece stuff together, because if all you do is play Squadrons, you can learn it real fast, or when you just pay attention and yeah, because I think Disney's purposely doing that so that people at least know what the language is.
In a perfect world, I would change Epcot to be a Star Wars land. I would change the Epcot ball to become the Death Star. You would branch out, and instead of going to different lands like Adventureland and Tomorrowland, you would go to Scarif or Tatooine or Mandalore or Endor, Geonosis, Act 2. Act 2 would be cool because they have that Jedi temple. What is it called? Where the kids can go and train to be a Jedi. I mean, that's where kids can go because that's supposed to be one of the first Jedi temples or early Jedi temples. So the kids can go there and they can learn from a version of Luke Skywalker, maybe. It doesn't necessarily have to be the one from The Last Jedi, but that would be fun. Scarif would be cool. Maybe you're from the Imperial point of view, which is something that Galaxy's Edge doesn't have. It's all rebellion. And so maybe you do empathize with the Empire, or you want to be part of the Empire. You love Darth Vader, you love the Emperor, and you can go and sign up to become a stormtrooper and kill the rebels.
Oh, good. And now you're talking about this stuff, and you're talking about doing the Jedi training and stuff. And I think they need to figure out a way to take everything, because they've got Star Tours, and then right next to that is the Jedi training. They really should have figured out some kind of way to incorporate that into the land, because how amazing would that have been if you get off Star Tours and they drop, even if it happens every time, they drop you off in Batuu and you walk out the door and you're in Batuu, which they could have done something. They took everything that was Hollywood Studios and turned it into, because they took out that stunt show, which was all, a cool stunt show, Batuu. And then you've got that area that's all like the streets of the US, or I don't know what, it's kind of a wasted area. But it harkens back to the original Hollywood Studios MGM, which was cool because, you were able to walk down and see, okay, here's how they do forced perspective, because they've got that big city street and it looks like you're in the middle of downtown New York when all it is a painting. They could have taken that whole area and just kind of twisted Galaxy's Edge around. I don't know. But anyway, and just made it to where when you walk out at Star Tours, you're in Batuu, which would have been awesome. And then they could have done the Jedi training. And I think I don't know where I'm going, but I think they need to somehow incorporate all the Star Wars stuff into Batuu. That's in MGM. See, there I go. It's Hollywood Studios. Yeah. And it would make it so much better.
Yeah, kill the timeline. That's just limiting. I want to go see Darth Vader. I want to see the Mandalorian. I want to see the Child, and the timelines don't necessarily meet up. But what's more important? Me seeing Darth Vader, or me experiencing the exact timeline that the Imagineers set up?
Right.
I think it's the former.
Exactly. I want to go to see Vader. I want to, like you said, I want to see characters I know. I mean, it's cool interacting with Vi and with Rey and stuff, but freaking wow. Have the Mandalorian. Oh, dude. And then what Boba Fett do we get if they put Boba Fett in that land? Do we get Dad Fett or do we get Empire Strikes Back Fett?
Now we would get Dad Fett because that's the latest canon.
Right. But it'd still be cool to see that. Hell, I could go apply for a job as Boba Fett then. Because, I'd make a hell of a Dad Fett.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to add to that.
It gives us 40-year-old guys that are a little overweight that have the dad bods a chance to play Boba Fett, man. It'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my whole thing with Galaxy's Edge. It's there's room for improvement, more characters, less integration with the sequel trilogy, which just I don't think resonated with fans as much as The Mandalorian.
Right.
And so fold more to that in.
And I think they will. It just is going to take time and it's going to take money, which Disney has no money right now. But how hard would it be to make a couple of costumes?
They have the costumes.
Yeah.
That's the part that sucks.
Oh yeah, that's true. They just have to pay the people. They've got the Darth Vader costumes. They got the Stormtrooper costumes. They'd have to make a Mandalorian and they have to make the Dad Bod Boba.
Star Wars weekends, they used to have stormtroopers walking the gate where it says Disney's MGM Studios. They would have stormtroopers up there just walking back and forth talking to each other. It was just everywhere.
And that's
what
Jesus
you want.
Christ, really? Oh my God.
Yes, I had video of it.
That's how that land is supposed to be set up. It's set up to where they have stormtroopers walking around up top. It's set, damn it.
That was even pre Bob Iger days. Those was still Michael Eisner days, which is a different time.
Right. Wow. Which was just, let's hemorrhage money and we'll make it. And that land would have been so awesome. They don't need to they could interact with you and just, okay. I just thought, because I went to Renfest one year and down here in Atlanta, and you walk in and there's people standing, because you walk through like a castle facade and there's people standing in that castle facade yelling at you as you walk in.
Yeah.
How hard would that be to do that in Galaxy's Edge, where the infrastructure's already there? You just need to pay the people.
Yeah, I think the issue is crowd control.
Right.
That's a problem. You don't want people crowding the walkways, because some of those walkways are pretty tight. And so you got to be smart about it. And there's areas where they can extend some of those paths where they can have that kind of interaction. Mm. But the last thing they want to do is have people crowd around and make a scenario where if there's an emergency, people get trampled. It's all, you got to be smart about it too. But yeah, I agree that but I think there's a way to do it responsibly.
Well, Disney knows what they're doing. I just think I think them putting this land and shoehorning it in between 7 and 8 and 9, and just being like, this is what we're going to do, I think was sort of, was a bad choice for them. And yeah, I think they'll understand where the money is. And if people want to see this, want to see all these characters and then want to, expand the timeline and say F it and put the freaking they could put the freaking Razor Crest in California right now if they wanted to, and nobody, and it'd be could you imagine when they open California back up, there's the Razor Crest sitting there and they tell nobody? Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. That would be amazing. And then they could just do it. You couldn't keep it a secret in Florida because it would take too long to move it in and out, but you could do it in California and tell nobody. Hell, they could be doing it right now and we wouldn't know, but someday, man. I'm sorry.
Someday they will.
Everybody, we've had a couple of guys comment, they can tell our love of Star Wars, and there's only one other thing I love more than as much as I love Star Wars, and that's Disney.
Yep.
I know you're a Disney geek too.
Yep.
I unfortunately I don't get to go down as much as I'd like because it is what it is. Damn it. It was a perfect marriage, Disney and Star Wars. And then when they made the land, I think I've said it too much. We were expecting so much more out of this land, and they just it fell flat on its face. As awesome a land as it is, there was just stuff they could do so much better, and They just didn't.
To be fair to Disney, could they ever have met our expectations, being both a Star Wars and Disney fan?
I
don't know.
I don't know. My theory, or not my theory, my attitude is you could have spent another, not even $1 million, you know, I say million, but you know, you could have spent another $50,000 to $100,000 and it would have been so much better. Just there again, there I go back to character interaction. And I think it would have been a better land. You know, it needed another notch. You know, they were supposed to, when you did a bad job at Smuggler's Run, that was supposed to track you through the land. I don't know how they were going to do it, but Disney, dude, you go on It's a Small World, your name's on the freaking sign when you pull out. It's the magic bands. They track so much stuff with those magic bands. How hard would that have been to do?
Not hard at all.
Right.
So, but yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. Go see, and as much as we talk shit about Galaxy's Edge, it's an amazing land. Don't let us deter you from going to it.
Go.
You know, go experience it, because it is a religious experience, you know, especially, you know, building a lightsaber, seeing the Falcon, and being around Star Wars fans. We talk shit about it because we love it, and you know, but damn.
Yeah, I've been there 3 times. I love it. There's things that they could have done to make it a little bit more special. And I think because we're also fans, we also knew what was promised and what we got, which is the letdown. And yeah, I think that's sad.
Yes, it is. I mean, when I went, I spent a week at Disney and I spent 4 days in Galaxy's Edge. So that tells you how awesome the land is. You know, we had a day plan. We had 2 days planned for Magic Kingdom, and we quote unquote rushed through Magic Kingdom so I could have another day at Galaxy's Edge. So
yeah.
But
that first day I spent 4 hours in the Galaxy's Edge, and the only reason I left was because only my son and I were there in Galaxy's Edge. That's all we could get in, and my wife and my 2 daughters were outside of Galaxy's Edge, and I felt like I needed to spend time with them. Otherwise, I would have spent the whole day at Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah,
it's great. It's fun. The merch is spot on. I think. You know, we haven't said anything about the merch, but I have no complaints about the merch. I thought it was great. It was perfect. It's everything that I want to buy and want to get. There's creatures, there's costumes, there's food, there's everything you can pop. There's helmets, Black Series figures, everything that you possibly want, you can get there. There's droids. It's just the merch is spot on. It's the experience.
As far as the timeline goes and merch, and I meant to bring this up earlier, there's Rebels and Thrawn merch in Dok-Ondar's. So the episode 8 and 9 timeline kind of goes away, but when you go into Dok-Ondar's, because there's Rebels merch, there's Thrawn art, there's freaking there's the Yoda flashlight that him and R2 fight over. So when you go into Dok-Ondar's, you kind of lose that timeline. I guess maybe because it's merchandise, and they could say, oh, he's collected it over 30 years or 40, 50 years. So you have the whole Star Wars, because there's stuff from the prequels in there. There's stuff from the original trilogy. There's stuff from Rebels. There's stuff from the whole timeline in Dok-Ondar. So I guess you could change the timeline of the land and be okay, is what I'm trying to get at. But
Yep.
And yeah, I meant to mention that. And as soon as you mentioned merch, I'm like, you can, dude. Yeah. If you go, make sure your credit card is empty and you have a lot of available credit. Cause yeah, you will spend money just walking around going, I need this, I need that, I need this, because it's stuff you can't find anywhere else. I know they've kind of opened the doors a little bit, opened the floodgates a little bit, to at least with the lightsabers and a couple of the merch items. Just because they need to make money. But yeah, we didn't even get into Dok-Ondar's, but Dok-Ondar's I think is perfect, just the way it is.
I agree.
Oh, that's so awesome, just walking in there and seeing all those Easter eggs. But yeah, dude, we gotta go. How long? We were an hour and a half, and we could. Oh, golly. I don't know do you have anything else to add, or?
No, I think I've said as much as I want. There's so much there. You know, the experience of building a droid was perfect. The experience of building a lightsaber is perfect. Dok-Ondar is perfect. The food, I'm not a foodie, so I had some issues with I don't like spice, and that the Ronto wrap was a little spicy for me. Blue milk was blah blah blah. It's not as good as there's a drink over at Gaston's at Magic Kingdom, which is like an apple spice something or other, which is great. There was the butter beer, which is great, and then you get the blue milk, and it's like, this is not what I expected. Just give me some fruit. You know, every May 4th, my son and my daughter and I, we get a gallon of milk or a half gallon. We drop in a couple drops of blue food coloring. We drop in some vanilla, and we shake it all up. So you get this vanilla blue milk, which tastes a lot better than, and I get, lactose intolerant, but it tastes a lot better than what they offer, that Fruity Pebbles stuff at Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, here they could do two versions. You do a lactose intolerant and a lactose or with milk, but then you're in 120-degree heat, Florida heat.
Mm-hmm,
do you really want to be drinking milk?
Even the product placements, the Coca-Cola stuff.
Oh my God.
That's perfect. It's themed for Star Wars. It's the same stuff. But it's new. It's different, and it's awesome.
Right. I love the Coca-Cola product placement, I think, was perfect. I love the fact that you go to a cart that's piloted by a droid to buy it. I love the bottles. And you're paying $6 for a freaking bottle of Coke so you could bring the bottle home to put in your collection,
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. The theming of that is awesome. I think the Docking Bay 7 is amazing because you're in there. They could have themed it up a little bit more, but you're in there and you hear the ships taking off. Like I said, I am kind of upset that they changed some of the names to make it more friendly, so people that don't understand what's going on can still order something. But I haven't been in over a year, so
yeah,
I don't know what it's like now. I would like to see the marketplace maybe a little bit bigger, because it is kind of expanded a little bit. I don't know if that's the right word, because it does kind of it needs to just be bigger. Take the same concept and make it bigger so you can fit more people in there. I don't know. It's supposed to feel like a marketplace from the Middle East somewhere, a Moroccan marketplace. That's where I was looking for. And they did a good job with that, but I think it needs just put more. I don't know. I don't know if it needs to be more shops, or maybe the stalls need to be bigger so more people can fit in there. But the marketplace is cool. The freaking Toydarian, they nailed that. I want to be able to buy that freaking AT-AT they have at a Toydarian. That's such an awesome AT-AT, because when they first showed it, I was like, cool, I'm gonna buy this, and it's not for sale.
Right.
Now I'm just rambling. You were just like, we got to say what's all good about Galaxy's Edge, and there's a lot of good, and there's just we were expecting 1,000%, and we got like 200, or not even. Got like 500% or something.
Right. Yeah. Have fun, guys.
Yeah, go and have fun, and now we got to figure out what we're going to talk about next week.
I have some ideas.
All right, we'll talk. Oh, crap. But Jason, enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Yeah, y'all have a great week, and we'll see you next week. And this is the way.
This is the way. Bow, bow, bow.